Hi everyone, my name's Amy Smith, and today I'm going to share with you how I made an aged, seasoned looking cookie sheet for photo shoots. And this can also be applied to a large piece of board to use as a backdrop or as a surface for your food photography or any kind of flat lay. So to get started, this is just a regular little cookie sheet. I got it at Walmart, this particular one, for $1.70, I want to say. I've gotten them in silver finish and also a black, like non-stick looking finish. They've come in both. I've gotten them in both. So this one happens to be a non-stick finish, and I have already prepped it by spraying it with a flat black spray paint, just to give it some coverage and something to build upon for some depth and color. Other supplies you're gonna need are I have a burnt umber craft paint, a black craft paint. These are all just cheap craft paints. This is a light gray. This is a brown called Truffle, and I'll probably use this in the burnt sienna interchangeably. The burnt sienna has a little bit more of a reddish color to it, a little bit more, just not as flat brown. And then I also have, this is called Pumpkin, or a bright kind of orangish rust color to simulate the rust. And here are the colors on my little paper plate. I've got gray. You can see that very well, it's super bright. I've got the gray, the orange, pumpkin, the truffle, the burnt sienna, as well as the black. So I'll put those all on the palette, on the paper plate, and go from there once I start painting. I also have some chip brushes, the cheapo chip brushes. The only thing adverse about these is that sometimes the little bristles chip off, or bust off, and they get into the paint and stuck, but they're easy to just pick off, and no worries on that one. And I also have a putty knife, a sharp edge, and you could use this, you could use an old knife, you could use a utility knife, you could use pretty much anything that's a strong metal straight edge. We're gonna use that too, if you can see on the one I've already done. Old cookie sheets all have lines. Somebody's always used a knife to cut the brownies or to cut the cake, and it makes a scratch. That's kind of indicative and par for the course with old stuff. So what we're gonna try to do is, little cruddy bits are gonna be stuck on there. We're gonna have scratch marks. We're gonna have a little bit of rust. We're gonna have a little bit of the former surface showing through in the lightness with the gray, and that's the goal anyway. So stick around. I will be back in just a minute in the next clip and start painting. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm going to be doing a cookie sheet that started out a dark color that I sprayed with a matte black spray paint. I've had them, these are some of the other ones I've done, started out silver, and I just sprayed them again with a base coat of a flat black. I'm also going to be doing, not for the video, but I'll show you at the end, a large surface of the kind of seasoned cookie sheet finish, so I can use it as a surface or as a backdrop as well. So I think before also I said one of the paint colors was burnt sienna. This is burnt umber, not burnt sienna. My bad, sorry about that. So I have them on a paper plate. That's just how I go ahead and use them. That way I can dab my brush into them and blend and then get onto the surface. So I just wanted to run that through. I also have a damp paper towel to do any blotting if I need to. I also have a dry paper towel just at my disposal if I need something, because I inevitably usually get it on me. So anyway, that's that. We'll start. First thing I'm gonna do is take some of this light gray and just dry brush. We're not saturating our brush at all. We're just gonna lightly go across brush strokes. and lightly brush on some of the light gray. Concentrating mainly more in the middle because that's usually on a worn pan where the concentration of the wear happens is in the middle. So you can get it everywhere, pretty much, lightly. Again, you can't really mess this up because you know what? If you don't like it, you just put more paint on it, no problem. So paint hides a multitude of sins and problems. So anyway, there's that. We'll put some on the edges because that has wear. Okay, already it kind of looks, I mean, it looks like paint on a pan, but it also looks, you know, from a distance, we're creating an illusion here. It's not going to be literal. It's not going to be exactly what would be an old pan, but it's going to be very similar and create that illusion for photographs. Okay, so we have that. Next, we're going to go into the burnt umber, yep. Kind of the reddish brown. It's more of a reddy brown as opposed to a flat, kind of muddy brown. And we're gonna just dabble into that and start just stippling, pouncing action. And we're not gonna cover up all of the white, or the gray, excuse me, all of the gray, but we want it to look like it's had grease and oil and crud on the pan, and over time it just gets baked on and crusted on and continually used, well used and loved, and creating yummy stuff, right? So if something looks too brown, go in with some black. It's a never ending, you know, you can go and go and go and go and just blend. And again, you don't want to cover up completely all of the gray, and we can go in with more gray, obviously, in a little bit if we feel like it. Get up on the edges. Oop, there's a big old thing from the bristle. Just pick it off. And continue to do this, varying the direction of your brush because you don't want to get patterns. So I'm going to continue to do this and we'll get it shaped up, and I'll check in just a little bit. Just by using mainly the burnt umber, a little bit of the truffle, which is a little lighter brown, a little flatter brown, and the burnt umber, which is a little more reddish brown, and some black, I have managed to pretty much cover up a lot of that whitish gray, that light gray, and make it look a little worn in the center. With the stippling and the paint, it has a little bit of texture to it. I think this is looking really good, and I think we're ready to start adding some of the rust to the pan to make it look even more aged and used. That's where the orange comes in, the pumpkin color. I think by itself, it's pretty bright, but you know what? Some rust is very bright, and we can also go in and tone that down with some of the brown eventually. So just sporadically, we'll start here on the edge and put a little bit of the rust. Remember to go on the edges if you have a lip on your pan, whichever pan you find and you're using. Go up on the edges because it's gonna be seasoned and worn all over. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's kind of where I'm putting the orange, the rust. And it can be kind of bright if you want it to be. Just stipple and blend, and it's not going to be perfect. Okay? You can kind of see there where I'm putting it right around this area right here. And it'll show up better once I'll take photos at the end too, and you'll be able to see better where this is headed and how this is working out. Anyway, again, if you don't like what it looks like, paint, brush, paint, do it over, start over, and just like anything, it's never gonna be perfect. You know, I have several that I've done, and I have 5 in front of me. This is number 6. They all look different, but they all look like seasoned old cookie sheets. Shh. Sorry, my dog is needy right now. You need to be quiet, please. So just like when it happens naturally, there's rust all over the place, sporadic, random, no patterns. And again, when I'm using these pans, not again, but to mention, when I'm using these pans in photo shoots, I usually have some parchment or wax paper or something on them. Obviously, you do not bake with these. That's a definite no-no. Just the paint and you don't want to bake with this. This is purely for prop purposes. I just want to put that out there to make sure that nobody would bake with it. I think the fumes would be toxic. I don't know what would happen. It would burn. It would, I don't know. I don't want to know what would happen with all that. So anyway, I'm going to continue adding some rust, and I think I'm getting real close. The final step, which I failed to mention earlier, is I will spray it down with a clear matte flat finish protective coating to, keep it from chipping off as easily and or absorbing any grease or whatever if you do put a cookie on it or something in the future for shooting and so forth, that it doesn't mar the surface or the finish that you work so hard to put on. Okay, I think that is looking pretty darn good, guys. I'm really happy with that. If you want to, you can always go in with a hair more of the gray and make just a little bit more evenness or unevenness, whatever, where it is showing through and the wear marks. Okay, so next, I'm gonna make some score marks where somebody inevitably has made cut marks onto the pan, cutting a cake, cutting brownies. Over time, I don't think I've seen a cookie sheet, whatever it's made out of, that doesn't have some score lines. So that's where the putty knife comes in. Again, these don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be all over the place, but just a few. So I'm going to score, and score, and score, and nobody ever cuts straight, so who cares if they're not straight? And then they made a little bit of they may have pulled up some of the paint, little things. I'm just gonna brush that off. And there you have some score lines. And on a few of them, a little bit of the silver shows through from the bottom. And if you don't like how strong those are, see, you can't even really see them in the picture, but you can see them. So yeah, that's it, you guys. For a simple $1.70, some craft paint, some cheap chip brushes. I know they have these things online through Etsy, through Amazon, antique shops, and you're gonna pay a lot more for that, for the illusion of an old cookie sheet, and you can just do it yourself. I hope this is helpful. I hope this motivates some of you or anybody to give it a try. Like I said, if you're like, oh my gosh, this looks terrible, grab your brush, grab some more paint, start over. You'll get there. You'll get there. Just play with it. The less you worry about it, and sometimes less is more. If you think, oh, I need to do it, just leave it be, walk away from it, come back and visit, and you're like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't need to mess with it anymore. Because I've made the mistake of messing with it a little too much, and then why did I do that? So, as with anything, less is more a lot of the times. I'm gonna clear coat this, and I will then take some photos that I can post with the video of the finished product, and good luck. I really hope somebody gives this a shot and try to do this as a less expensive alternative to having some kind of cool looking props for your photo shoots. All right, thanks so much. Bye.